Hello, welcome to another episode of Raine Plays The Sims 4. Today I'm on the Rippling Flats lot in Newcrest. Built a house this time for a couple. And I did something different. Finally learning after all these years. I took rooms into account, and I drew them individually instead of just starting with a box and then adding to the box. It helped. It was very helpful. It's just embarrassing that it has taken this long to figure out something that elementary. I did go on the homeplans.net website, looked around, but just like the magazines or catalogs that I ordered, they show the same house on every single website that you go to. It's always the same houses. And even on one website, it will show the identical house like 3 or 4 different times. I just don't get it. But anyway, I got stuck on one because I was looking at the floor plan, and it probably makes sense in the real world. But at the back of the house was the staircase that curved the way I have the staircase in this house. So you start going up one way and then you turn and then you go up another way. It was at the back of the house. But there was also a door to the yard behind those stairs and a closet space alongside the stairs. And I think I started looking at it from a Sims perspective, like how is anybody going to access this if the stairs are there? But I think in reality they're high enough. Would that be it? They're high enough that a human could walk underneath those stairs to access both doors. It would be impossible to do it in The Sims, is all I'm saying. But I thought that was funny. So I stopped at that point, and I opened up the game, and I started building this. So I guess you could say I was inspired, but it's nothing in particular. I liked what I saw, and I think the exterior maybe reflects it a bit more than the interior. The interiors never do. Even looking at a floor plan, I can never get it to do what it's supposed to do. And then I spent way too much time on the roofing, like always. The after is not going to reflect what you're seeing here. It's difficult. I have to admit, even though I'm getting better at roofing, it's still a time-consuming, frustrating process because it's trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error 100 times. And then for whatever reason, something works and it just comes together and you're done. But after a lot of agony and pain. So roofing is my least favorite part of building in The Sims 4. Very frustrating, and I'm sorry I had to see all that. But I figured it out. I liked this house. I really enjoyed this build. This was fun. It was interesting. I hope it's not too much like something I always do. That's my biggest fear right now, is that I'm building the same house again and again and again. I'm using the same materials again and again and again. However, yes, I did use pack-specific items, but I realized, again, way too late in the game, that that's where I'm killing the cost of the house, I think, is the items I'm placing inside of it. So I did my best to use base game only. I even selected base game as I was decorating. Sadly, The items are so boring and so ugly and so mismatched. Now here's my absolute favorite part of Newcrest is the background. I just think it's so pretty. And it's even more gorgeous at nighttime. I remember the first time I played here and I built on that huge lot. I just had to because I always build huge houses. And I had everything. Balconies and a pool and a pond that shot different colored water fountains up. I always did that when I started this game. I was living luxe the whole time. But I went out onto the patio. Well, I'm sorry. I sent her out on her second floor patio. Patio. Is it a patio? What am I trying to say? Balcony. To paint. And that's when I learned how to rotate in paint mode to get a scenic image. And I saw that backdrop and I'm like, why did I had, at that moment, I had never even noticed that those buildings were there. I think I was hyper-focused on playing the game and getting things right. But you're like that when you start a game sight unseen. I never even know that those buildings were in the background. But it was so pretty to me. So she painted, I had like dozens of those background paintings hanging on all the walls in the house. It was fun. But the thing I noticed with that is when you do start a new game and then you become a little bit more proficient at it, you're very reluctant to let go of some things. And I am extremely reluctant to let go of view and the ability to paint views. There's always an easel in my house, and there's always a great place to put an easel. It's dumb because not everybody is into painting, and I shouldn't do that, but... Now the interior of my house, I tried to stay neutral. I used the plaster wall. I didn't want any molding on the walls, but I did go low end. I think actually I went low end wood floor on the outside. I used the cheapest wood on the outside, and only because I don't think I've ever used it before. Being quirky, I guess. But the interior, I did not want any molding on any of the walls. I tried to stay neutral pastelish. So again, dumb me, in case anybody decides to download it and they can change it. You're going to do that regardless what I do. But this is what I'm getting at. My mind, it adheres to one thing, and it's so difficult for me to just branch out and say, hey, let it go. But I'm trying. I'm working on it. Not exactly succeeding, but I am getting better. Now, this is another thing. I don't know why I can't live without plants. I do know why. That was another part of the game that I just thought was so cool. Growing your own fruit and vegetables and then being able to make better dishes with them. I thought that was amazing. So I always made sure my Sims had every single thing. That's why Ice Mun Mun is probably one of my favorite modders. She makes a plant for everything. I mean, you name the vegetable or fruit and they've made a mod for it. And I remember at one point in this game I had every single one of them growing in a yard. It was fun. But seasons ruined it for me because I know it's 7 days or 14 days or even a whopping 28 days. But sometimes a sim day can take forever. And it's like, no, I want my cherries now. I don't want to wait for them. So when a plant goes dormant out of season, I used to get very sad. But then I learned how to cheat that too with the, what is it? I don't know. It's one of the cheats where you can go into debug And then I would type tomatoes, onions, potato, carrot, blackberry, all the items that you have to leave the world to go and get, lemons. And I just plunk a bunch of them down on the ground and then add them to their inventory. And then even later than that, I realized that you could actually store them in their refrigerator. Who knew? I kept them in their inventory forever. I'm like, why do they need to go in the refrigerator? They don't spoil. But it saved a ton just having them directly in the refrigerator. But I love to cook. I love to make them. It's dumb. I always do that when I do play The Sims 4. I make sure they have a ton of food in the refrigerator at the start, and I never have to worry about it. Although I always end up having to click on the refrigerator so that they would eat. They'd get hungry, but they'd just sit there starving to death unless I directly sent them to the refrigerator. Said, grab a leftover. Yeah, sound like a good idea. Now the 2 different colored bricks, this probably looks weird. I thought it looked weird at first too, and then after a while I'm like, you know, why not? Trying to be that different, you know, not same me. So I kept it. Of course, if you don't like it, you're welcome to change it. Oh, and by the way, these 2 open doorways here, I put one of those spandrels across it and I don't see it. It's not in the... Okay, mute that. It's not in the walkthrough. I don't know where the spandrels went, but they're supposed to be there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.